Ferrari is working on two fronts, on the new car at home, on the design of the new car, and at the race weekends on developing new solutions for the future. How these two fronts working is going on?
Well, I mean, the design office is obviously concentrating solely on next year's car now. Yeah, that's a reasonably advanced stage of all the mechanical parts, and bodywork starts coming through over the next 2 or 3 months. We're obviously using the last races to develop some different concepts on the car. I think some of that work's come from the last round of tunnel developments on the 662, and some of that has come from the development work we're doing on 663. So it's good for us to look at different strategies, different methodologies that we haven't been used to in the past, but to get an early look at the track does prove quite valuable in terms of understanding particularly the aerodynamic performance of the car and how to set the car up for the different characteristics that are possible.
And how do you evaluate the performance of the team and the car in the last few races?
I think, certainly I suppose that the biggest addition we've made, I suppose, to the performance has been the different front wing, which we just managed to get to Korea and then ran again on both cars in India. I think that's it's a very interesting development step for us. It does change the characteristics of the car, and learning to understand that and get the most out of it is certainly interesting and a challenge. I think that has helped our performance, but in reality we're in a similar position to where we have been since Silverstone, really.
There was a lot of talk about this new front wing, especially looking at some footage of Felipe during free practice and the race. What can you tell us about it? And will we see the front wing again in Abu Dhabi?
Yes, you will see the front wing again in Abu Dhabi. Obviously on Felipe's front wing, got a lot of footage on, I suppose it would have been on the Friday afternoon and then again on Saturday morning. It's sort of a variability that we're trying to understand and get on top of. We had 3 assemblies there, all effectively the same, but we've obviously got some variation in quality that we're trying to understand. So we're doing a load more structural test on that this week, and we're adjusting, modifying, and we'll have a wing or that style of wing in a slightly different form, modified form, for both drivers to use again in Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi is still a painful memory for the team. You weren't there last year, but how can you remember how did you leave that race night here in Maranello?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the remote garage last year. I think I, like the whole team, was, it's always, to get that close and then, lose the championship right at the last minute is obviously hard for everyone to take. And it was, actually walking out of the factory here and going round Maranello as well, I was surprised by all the fans and the sheer number of people that had turned up. I mean, it was, disappointing for everyone, really.
Do you think that a good result this year there would make even more painful the memory?
I don't think so. I mean, from my own personal point of view, I always take each race as it comes. You've got to try and do the best we can there this year. I mean, it's what happened last year is effectively it's history, really, isn't it? We've got to be looking forward and trying to learn and improve and do the best we can for this track this year.
You mentioned before the remote garage. Can you tell us a bit more about what happens in Maranello when the car is running somewhere in the world?
Well, the remote garage, we try and obviously use a lot of engineers back here looking at the performance of the car, the reliability of the car, as well as the engineers at the track. We're analysing aero data, tyre data, looking at setups, and just trying to make sure that the whole engineering team, both at the track and at the factory, are all focused on trying to get the the most performance out of the car on that weekend. So that covers everything from, say, you know, the aerodynamic setup, the configurations, the setup, mechanical setup we choose to run, how to get the best out of the tyres. It's all sort of analysed in detail, and obviously it's easier to have people back here analysing data than to, you know, take everyone to a race, particularly now with the headcount limit of people working trackside.
So can really the remote garage play a decisive role during, for instance, qualifying or the race?
I suppose the other thing I haven't mentioned about the remote garage is the strategy team. We, most of our strategy side of things is all run from back here in Maranello. So you know, they do have a decisive effect, and effectively they are helping and making part of making the decisions of race strategy on a Sunday. Similarly, in qualifying, when we're looking at cut-off times and when we can go out and not, you know, again, they're a key player there in whether we should run or try and save a set of tyres. So, you know, it does have a reasonably large influence across everything from, you know, the setup we choose to the race strategy that we follow through on a Sunday.
What are the main characteristics of the Abu Dhabi circuit, and what are the strong points that a winning car can have?
Well, I think Abu Dhabi it's you know, similar to the last two tracks we've been to, really. You know, it's all it's all, you know, you've got to find the right balance. I mean, there's less high-speed corners there. It's more low-speed traction. So it's, you know, it's the normal trying to find the right balance for that type of circuit, but not a huge difference, I suppose, to the likes of Korea.
Last year in Abu Dhabi, unfortunately, we all remember that overtaking was very difficult. Do you think that this year with the DRS will be a different story?
Well, I think I haven't seen the DRS zones that are going to be allocated in Abu Dhabi yet, but I think, you know, on the whole, you'd have to say that the DRS system has worked quite well. There's been a few races where, if anything, the DRS zones weren't quite long enough, and I think we've learnt from that, and they'll get adjusted for next year. And there are others that were relatively simple to overtake. So I'm sure things will get easier. Exactly how easy, until we actually see what distance they allow us on the main straight, it's going to be hard to know exactly.
All said that, what are the perspectives of Ferrari during this second last race of the season?
Well, say we keep on trying and pushing as hard as we can. I mean, expectations really, it should be similar to what we've had for the last few races, really. So, you know, we're there or thereabouts, trying, you know, as hard as we can. If we get all the package together, you know, we should be in a similar position, I suppose, to where we were in India. So, you know, hopefully we'll be on the podium somewhere.